Today on Inquirer. The Department of Health will tighten quarantine rules for travelers from China amid the country's COVID-19 surge. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has expressed hesitance in extending the state of calamity brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. The DFA will establish direct communication to prevent escalation of maritime disputes on Marcos' visit to China. And the DOH has ordered hospitals to prepare for firecracker-related injuries as cases increased from last year.
Good evening. In response to the recent increase in COVID-19 cases in China, the Department of Health announced Friday that it will tighten its quarantine standards for visitors arriving from that country. In a statement, the DOH said that it has directed the Bureau of Quarantine to intensify surveillance and quarantine protocols to travelers from China. In line with this, the DOH also announced that the Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases would review the standards for border control for Chinese visitors. On Thursday, Health Officer in charge Maria Rosario Vergere said there was no need to restrict travel to or from China. On the other hand, Senator Risa Hontiveros has also urged the government to revamp its travel restrictions and health protocols in response to the alarming rise in COVID-19 cases in some parts of the world. In a statement, Hontiveros emphasized that this issue has already happened before and urged the government to learn from previous mistakes. The opposition lawmaker also called for the administration to set necessary layers of health security and safety protocols for tourists visiting the Philippines for the new year before the president flies out to China for his scheduled state visit. Meanwhile, the DOH has also detected the Omicron subvariant BN.1 on Friday. The genome sequencing of the Philippine Genome Center from December 19 to 22 yielded 2 new cases of the subvariant. The BN.1 Omicron subvariant is classified by the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control as a variant under monitoring. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has expressed hesitance in extending the state of calamity in the country brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Marcos aired his reservations over his Instagram stories on Thursday after the Department of Health sought for him to keep the country under a state of calamity until 2023, as its current status is yet to expire on December 31.
Still very hesitant to continue the state of calamity, to extend it, because again, we are not in a state of calamity anymore, technically speaking, and that is the wrong mindset to be approaching the new year with.
That the government is currently exploring ways to continue granting benefits to healthcare workers in the Philippines sans the state of calamity. Marcos' predecessor, Rodrigo Duterte, first declared a state of calamity in March 2020 through Proclamation number 929 at the onset of the pandemic in the country. Months after assuming the presidency, Marcos issued Proclamation number 57 to extend the state of calamity in the country, but only until year-end. In reaction to Marcos' statement, the Department of Health asked the president to certify as urgent the passage of the bill seeking the creation of the Philippine Center for Disease Prevention and Control. Once signed into law, the CDC bill will be the legal basis for the implementation of the government's COVID-19 vaccination program and response for other future public health emergencies without the need to declare a state of calamity. The Department of Foreign Affairs will establish direct communication with its Chinese counterpart regarding maritime disputes on the upcoming China state visit of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. In a press briefing on Thursday, Foreign Assistant Secretary Neil Imperial said the DFA will formalize a direct communication to prevent the escalation of the maritime disputes between the Philippines and China during the state visit by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to China next week.
To avoid miscalculation and miscommunication in the West Philippine Sea, both sides have agreed to sign an agreement establishing direct communication between the foreign ministries of both countries at various levels, and that is expected to be signed by Secretary Manalo and his counterpart, State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi, during the visit.
Imperial said the agreement would formalize procedures for contact between the two countries when dispute arises. China and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations discussed as early as July 2015 the setting up of a foreign ministers hotline to deal with emergencies in the South China Sea. The dispute over these waters has been souring ties between the Asian economic giant and the Philippines, a decades-old treaty ally of the United States, China's chief rival. The Department of Health has ordered hospitals nationwide to be on code white as firecracker-related injuries during the holidays increased from cases reported last year. Health Officer in charge Maria Rosario Vergere said Thursday that the DOH had already instructed all hospitals in the country to be on code white, the lowest alert level that directs them to activate manpower and facility resources and form a team solely for firecracker casualties.
Ang atin pong alert level ngayon sa lahat ng ospital, and that is a specific instruction at ginagawa natin taon-taon, naka-code white tayo lahat ngayon. Ibig sabihin, all are instructed to prepare, all are instructed to have a special team to address the concerns of those people who's going to our hospitals with injuries due to firecrackers.
Based on the latest DOH data, 41 firecracker-related injuries were reported from December 21 to December 30, an increase of 52% from the 27 cases within the same period last year. More than 5 million SIM cards were registered as of December 29, the National Telecommunications Commission said Thursday. Deputy Commissioner John Paulo Salvajan said reports submitted to the NTC by the telecommunication companies show that as of December 29, Globe reported 2.7 million registered SIMs, Smart with 1.8 million, and Ditto with 742,653. Salvajan said that with an estimated 160 to 180 million active SIMs, the 180-day period would be enough, although he added that the Department of Information and Communications Technology is allowed by the law to extend the deadline by up to 120 more days. The NTC is closely monitoring the telecommunication companies' SIM card registration following numerous reports of technical difficulties preventing users from completing the process. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Bay at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe, ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. Sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon ay nagsalita na nga ang kapusong actor na si Joaquin Dumagoso tungkol sa kanyang pagiging ama. Kanina sa ginanap na press call ng kanyang launching movie na That Boy in the Dark, kung saan nanalo siya ng Best Actor sa iba't ibang international film festival, ay inamin ni Joaquin na challenging pero masaya ang maging tatay. Ayon sa anak ni dating Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, ay nahihirapan siyang umalis ng bahay kapag meron siyang trabaho dahil namimiss niya agad ang kanyang anak.
As you guys want to know, lahat ng mga press, gusto akong tanong, opo po, me and my family were both happy. My son is 8 years old na, and mahirap po talaga umalis ng bahay. Mahirap po kasi lagi ko siyang miss, katulad ngayon, pag nag-work ako, at marami na po feelings na hindi mo mararamdaman talaga, hindi mo siya may isip kasi you weren't a father before. So now that you are, parang iba na yung mundo. Kaya po, mahirap siya kasi there's so much new feelings all the time na nakakaiyak at nakakatuwa. Kasi iba na po, mabigat. And yung mga nakita ko before, like hindi ko naintindihan na sinasabi ng tatay ko or yung mama ko. Ngayon parang nagigets ko na kaya ito ginawa. Kasi gusto nila na ganito mangyari sa akin.
At yan ang bandera chika natin for today. Thanks, Bay!
Maraming salamat, Irvin. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Beatrice Pinlac. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.